Hey guys, how's it going? I'm setting up this room real quick for Kel, and then we're gonna start his mentoring session. So give me 1 second to set this up, and you guys are free to sit in and watch our session. So just 1 second, let me finish getting this set up. Today's the 30th. Let's see, got that set up there. Get this link over to Kel real quick. And we should be good. All right, everything looks good to go. Let me just get this going real quick. Let's see.
Yo, what's going on, bro?
Oh, it's good, bro. How's it going, man?
Relaxing now.
Yeah, bro.
Finally.
You just got back from tour?
Yeah, bro. We were in Orlando last night. The night before that, Nashville. The night before that, Atlanta, and then the night before that was here in my hometown. And we had it's just
Damn, you're on the
been
road like
hectic.
all weekend, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Almost broke my leg last night too. So
Would you hop off the stage?
no, I slipped on the stage. It was actually really small, so it was like I couldn't fit on. We're like all big, like people. Well, I'm not big. Like the other two guys in my group, they're big, so like they took up the space. But yeah, long story
Yeah.
short.
Damn, that would have been all bad, bro.
But yeah, finally glad I'm able to get on this call with you, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been busy, bro. How's everything been with your trading? Have you been trading a lot, or you just been, chilling for the most part?
Uh the past 2 weeks I've really been chilling. But for the most part, like I've been actively trading. I've been trading for almost 6 years now. So
Oh, you've been doing
just
it for a cool minute. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I figured at this point I'd kind of simplify, my trading. And I think that's where like you and then I have like another guy I've spoken with, like he's kind of helped me like get the psychology down a little bit more and just with like your whole system too that you got, like it definitely helps a lot, especially well mainly for me like the zones and the pivots for sure. So
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's like the main thing. A lot of people just don't have structure, like when you're trading, like a lot of other people, when they come to K2, they know like so much stuff, but they like know too much stuff. You know what I mean? Like they try to apply every single thing and it's like, it doesn't work like that. Like a lot of things kind of, they kind of are counterproductive. Like if you're using the pivots and use that with like a trend meter or something like that, like, you're using like two of the same things when in reality, you should only be using like one thing. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I think structure definitely helps a lot.
for sure. And that's like I said, like the system as far as like the zones being drawn up, like they're all yeah to a T for sure. So they help out tremendously. Because like I'm like I can draw pretty good zones. Like I have like a good eye for zones, but it's like yours are a little bit more precise. And I'm like I like to be very detailed too with trading.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, exactly. Like the zones mean like they make like all the difference. Like it could be like one wrong zone or like one zone is a little off, and that could be the difference between, winning a trade or getting caught in a reversal.
exactly. But yeah, so I mean, really, I just kind of wanted to, because like I said, as far as like you drawing those like with the K2, the zones and the pivots and whatnot.
Mhm.
Uh, I've been like back testing like of course my strategy. I like messaged you like a while back, and I've been pretty consistent with that. Let me see if I can pull it up. Can I screen share
Yeah,
for you?
yeah. No, definitely. Let me make you a co-host, and then you should be able to have the option right there. All right, cool. So you should have the option like on the bottom, or like if there's like a green button where it says to share.
Okay,
You see on
cool.
the Zoom.
Yeah, 1 second. I minimize my Zoom. 1 second, bro. There we go. All right, I got it. All right, cool. Yeah, so pretty much basically uh so I just basically want to see where like your thoughts are as far as like cuz like obviously like every trader is not going to have the same thought process on
Hmm.
every single trade. So it's like cuz as far as like me back testing, my strategy and combining it with like the zones and the pivots. Like I just wanted to kind of see like if there's any way you could help me, I guess, see where like maybe I might be taking the wrong trade, like maybe how like the pivots will kind of, merge a little bit with how like I trade, like just seeing the same thing. Cause like I said, it's roughly about a 70% like win rate win
Mhm.
rate, which
Yeah.
is not too bad. But it's like of course psychology and of course making the right trades because like there's been like a lot of news events and stuff going on recently. So
Yeah,
markets have been
definitely.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, this whole month I feel like it's been kind of crazy. It's been back and forth. Like the 2 weeks ago was like really hot. We were just hitting TPs, and then last week was kind of rocky, and this week's kind of back and forth because I think it is NFP week, so we get kind of weird movements all throughout the week.
Yeah, shoot, let me see if I can shoot, I'll just start like right here, for example. So usually I've been drawing up the zones right there just because I used the little pivots right there. Let me draw these up real quick.
So like refresh my memory about like what how your strategy works because I just want to see like like you
Okay,
mentioned if I could see something that that can be added or something that can be done differently that could
I
possibly
got
help
you.
you out.
Like pre-K, like before I got the strategy, I got you. So pretty much basically how like I kind of like started off was just like I want to learn how to trade basically, market structure.
Hmm.
Um, so pretty much the pivots were like always good like indications for me. Like those are some like good areas for like like key levels or zones that I
Hmm.
could potentially drop. So like I just kind of look at it from that way. Like I said, I've been trading for a long time, so it's like I see the markets differently, I guess.
Yeah.
But so yeah, basically I just use these two pivots. So like once I see two consecutive pivots, I look for a following one that's going to be the opposite. Like you got two highs and then you got one low, or it can be vice versa, two lows and one high. And
Gotcha.
basically I just wait for the candle to close outside of this zone, like at the end of this wick. So like right there, I wouldn't have entered the trade because it didn't obviously go past the zone. Right
Hmm.
there, I would have waited for the close because I know candlestick closure is important. Like right here, I probably would have taken a trade just because I see that it is like a really good momentum candle, especially in the 10-minute, which you put me onto. Um, so usually I would just get into a trade just based off of that, just going 150, 1 to 1, risk to reward, and then just letting it play out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
And then
basically you're looking for like breaking closed past structures and then you hop into them.
pretty much like that one, I would have lost. Like I said, it's not as good as sorry, win rate ratio is not as good as where it should be or it could be. But that's why I want to, get your indicators and then just see where you could kind of help me see like where I could avoid, taking the wrong, trade setup.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So it looks like I mean it looks like your main issue is just identifying where possible reversals, will be appearing and stuff like that. That kind of seems like the main issue right here. And
Yeah,
there's a
for
lot of
sure.
different ways to do that. There's go ahead and do what you were doing earlier, and then now that I know what you're looking for, we can make adjustments as we like move along. So you
Okay.
can go back to what you were doing earlier. My
Okay.
bad, I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good, bro. You're good. You're good.
All right, cool.
So yeah, pretty much just waiting for the same setup, two pivots. So basically, like the more and more I did this, I kind of learned like using. Okay, so we got these two highs, but this one is like a higher low.
Yeah.
And so basically, I would do like the lowest point from that previous highs pivot since it is like
Mhm.
right there. So that would be technically like considered my trading zone.
Gotcha. Okay. So I
Um,
think I think one of the main things you can do to better your odds of miss not running into bad trades would be to identify market structure first. So generally, what I do first is I'll go and I'll draw my zones all over, like basically all the zones, and then I'll like pinpoint where the current market structure is. So if you want to do that first, we can do that, and then I'll
okay,
show you like what I mean by that.
for sure, for sure.
Because
Let me
this might
go
help
ahead
you
and
more actually. Instead of using like these pivot points, I think this might help you a lot more.
touch you. Yeah, like I said, I have been trying to keep trading a little bit more simple because I do have a busy life. Like I said, I do Airbnb hosting. I've been trying to, stay actively day trading as much as I can, just to, compound my own money.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was thinking about getting to Airbnb too, bro. But over here in California, like everything is
Oh
restricted.
yeah, I heard.
So there's
I
no
would say,
point.
yeah, I've heard all about all about California. Like
That's
I live out in the Destin, Florida area. I don't know if you've ever been out this way, but it's like super touristy, and it's like everybody just comes here. It's just like spring break, it's like Panama City Beach if you've ever been there either.
nice. No, I haven't been there, but I've heard of it, dude. Sounds pretty dope. I was planning on traveling a lot this year, but COVID happened, or last year actually, COVID happened, and then that's that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. COVID was a blessing in disguise for me though, because it really did help me get back into trading because I did kind of fall off for like a few months.
Yeah, no, same here. It gave me the opportunity to make trading like basically my full-time gig. Cause like for the longest, it was kind of like just a side thing until I was like, I might as well just do it now. Like it's now or never at this point.
No, most definitely. Oh yeah, I can see these up here. Now for these two right here, you would still draw these separate, right? Those
Yeah.
aren't okay.
Yeah. So I draw those two separate. The only time I merge them over would be when they overlap. The difference happens when you're doing like on the 4 hour, because for those you're kind of trading in between zones. So if they're really close, you can just connect them. But since
Like
we're on
this.
yeah, that'd be fine right there since they overlap. All right,
All
perfect.
right.
So yeah, once you have that down, let's click auto on the bottom real quick, on the bottom right, and let's close your watch list real quick so we just have a full screen.
I
So
got you. I got you.
yeah, let's just get that closed real quick. I just want to see where price broke into the market structure. Okay, so like for example, right here, you can see that price kind of broke into the structure like right. Let me see, right at the 12 o'clock mark. See where price broke. So that candle right there. See how that candle broke into that area, like.
So
Yeah, you can probably put like a vertical line on the candle to the left of it, just so that you can focus on where price currently is. So just grab that vertical line right there. You can put it right there. Yeah, on that one. All right, so cool. Now that you move over to the right, you can see that this is where current market structure is. So you can see that price kind of broke into that area, and then now it's just going sideways from that point. So now like when you have this is probably where you could be placing your yellow lines, because you know how you usually place it at the pivots and stuff. So the most important pivots would probably be that top where you already have it lined up, and then probably that bottom right there, that
that
32.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that would be like your benchmark. So you know how you were saying that you're waiting for price to break above or below. So this is the range now. Now that you have this marked up, you can see exactly where price is ranging. So from that point, you can identify, when price breaks above or below. That'll give you a bit better, confidence when taking these trades, because then now you've identified market structure at that point. Because if you look right before that, if you go to the left, you can see that market structure is very like it just respects it every
Copy.
time. It tries to break through it. It fails. It finally breaks into it. And then at that point, that's the new market structure right there where price currently is. So I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, but you use.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see what you mean because like this is just basically like a whole just area, just like the market's just filling like, or basically just like going where it needs to go, pretty much.
Exactly. If you go over there to like the 430, you can draw like another, where the 430 timestamp is, you can put like another vertical line there. And then you can see that that's where the previous market structure was. So you can see from there, it was a bullish move up, right?
Okay.
So you
I
can
see
see
what you
like, yeah, that following candle right next to
after
it,
this.
it breaks right above it, and then it just goes bullish. And then that would be considered like that area's market structure. And then as soon as it breaks into the other structure where it currently is, it goes like straight into consolidation. So it has a bullish move, and then it goes into consolidation on that next area right there.
So
So you,
based, I know you don't really sorry. I know you don't really trade price action.
yeah,
So do you like right here? Like would you have taken a buy like right here?
possibly. So like for me, I like to combine strategies sometimes. So this would be kind of similar to like the K2SR zone strategy, the one that I use on the 4 hour. Like if you turn on the momentum indicator, yeah, I think it'd be that third, or no, I don't think you have it on yours. Go to your,
Yeah, let me take these off.
yeah, you can go over to your indicators, then it'll be like the K2 momentum indicator. Sorry, my dogs. Cody, chill out.
All
It
right,
would be
so trend meter.
the one below. There we go, down right there. Yeah. So the K2 momentum. So basically, yeah. So right there, see how that green candle that you were just looking at, see how it broke the structure and it gave you
Oh,
that bullish
sorry.
momentum?
This one right here.
Yeah. So you see how it broke that structure below it, and then it gave you that bullish confirmation of the momentum swing up.
Hmm.
That's when I would take that trade because I would combine the K2SR strategy with this one. So that's the reason I would take it because I did see that, like you mentioned, the price action, you see it break the structure. And then on top of that, a second confirmation would be that buy signal. So it indicates that, a bullish move is going to come after that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things that you can mix and match. I mean, like, all these indicators can be used independently. It just depends if you know how to use them properly. That'd be the main thing.
Got you. So let's just, since we already got these zones marked up, let
Mhm.
me rewind real quick. Oh snap! Where did I just go? Oh, we're over here, right?
Yeah, I think it was right there. It was right to the left, I believe. Or you had like a vertical line that was yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
there they go.
There you go.
All right. So let's just rewind and let's just say this was the trade we were going to be taking. Well, I would have, potentially taken myself.
Hmm.
So right there, this would have been basically what I would have considered like my trading zone. And then like right here, let's see if I can pull these pivots out. So I obviously would have got faked out. Like, boom, it broke down here. I was in profit, and then the market reversed and went straight bullish. So for me making that mistake, like again, so like right there, if I would have entered this trade right there, what would it have stopped me from doing that, taking this trade?
Let's see. So that's the 21st, right? Do you remember what day that was? I think that was a Sunday. So I
Okay,
probably wouldn't have taken that trade on a Sunday because the market's
got you.
not. It just opened. So like you can see the gap happen right there where it's 32,561. So the market was only open for like a few hours because you can see that gap right there, like right down that middle. That's basically when the market opened for the weekend. So with that said, the market was only open for like maybe 2 hours or so.
It was really
So
slow.
yeah, it was really slow, and on top of that, it was Asia session too. So like, not I generally don't like taking trades until we enter like US session because that's when it starts to actually move. Because during Asia session, it's kind of just going back and forth. And I think that's how you got faked out. Because what happened was the move, if you look at the chart there, it kind of continued down from last week. Like the move that started from Friday, I guess, into the weekend, it continued down. And then as soon as market started to pick up, what time was that entry at?
This one,
Because
like
if it
right
was
here,
around, yeah, if it was around London Open or around London session, then
2:30.
2:30 a.m.
Yep,
That'd
my
be London.
time.
That'd be
Yeah,
about
London session.
okay. So I think that's why the reversal came because I'm not sure if you've caught that before, but like with US 30, when we enter other sessions, it usually ends up reversing. So like towards the end, so like 2:30 your time, that's about like 30 minutes before London session opens. So like from there up until probably the next three candles, that's when it starts to reverse, right?
Got you.
Yeah. So that's like one thing to keep in mind too. One thing to keep in mind is time because London
Yeah.
session is like that's where they set the direction. So as you can see from there, it kept coming down because it was dropping from Friday, and then as soon as we entered London session, it reversed like completely because that's when they started pushing price and they set the direction for that day.
So I wonder, like, none of these zones over here. So, like, what about these, like, zones over here that could have been potentially touched? Or is it just, like, just because it's just strictly London session and that's just normally, how the markets are going to move anyways?
So the market generally for US 30, it'll move a direction during London session, and it usually sets direction for the day. So it'll probably go like, so for example, here if it's bullish during London, it'll probably pull back right before US session, and then it'll go straight back into bullish. And then once we enter Asia session, like I'm not sure if you followed me during the live sessions, I usually stop trading around like 10 my time because that's like midway through US session. That's when London session actually closes. So say, for example, if we take some bullish moves from London up until 10 a.m. my time, which is when London closes, you'll start to notice that price starts to reverse from there. So
Okay.
there's certain times during the day when price starts to reverse. It's like middle US session, which is also going to be London close, which would be 10 a.m. my time. I think that's 11, 12, 1. That's 1 p.m. your time.
Yeah,
So
I think
around,
I'm like 2 hours ahead of you.
oh, 2 hours. Okay. So that'd be like noon your time then.
It's what, 6:17 your time?
Right now? Yeah, at 6:17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say because usually I'm up on the US session, just like kind of like looking at the charts and just like kind of just hearing in on like your ideas, just trying to see what you're seeing, just kind of picking your brain. And that's kind of what I wanted to do as far as like setting up this Zoom, is just to kind of, see where I can, keen up my psychology and just like knowing, of course, being aware of, where I'm at in the markets, what time it is, whatnot. But
Yeah.
like usually I've been using this a lot, this website, the Daily FX
Oh,
for the
you've been using
sentiments.
the IG sentiment or the
Yeah,
sentiment that they have. Yeah,
honestly,
that
I'm
thing.
always over.
Yeah, that thing plays like a huge role, especially for US 30, because I'm sure you've noticed like whenever people are trending one direction, it usually goes the opposite. So it kind of gives you that bigger confirmation. So like for example, if you were taking a sell and you see everyone's buying, it's probably gonna go in your favor if that becomes the case, because they generally
Yeah, I
go
want to
opposite.
say that that one US 30 trade we took, maybe it was like 2 days. It was the one we had lost, had hit stop loss. Let me see what day that was. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that was probably on, was it Monday or no? Was it?
It was the 29th. Or was that,
Yeah,
is that my
that
trade? That
is.
might have been a trade I took myself.
We did have the daily entry on the 29th. It what happened on 21, if you're talking about the daily entry,
Was
like
it the sell?
yeah, it was a sell. So
Yeah,
some people ended up hitting TP, some people didn't, because I'm not sure if like, because
yeah,
I didn't even take that trade, so like I wasn't following it, but then other people were like, oh, I hit TP. Some people were like, oh, it didn't hit my TP. So I think it like literally touched the target one, and then whoever
just
spread was wide.
reversed.
Yeah, it depends on whose spread was like wide or not, because whoever had the tight spread, they closed down profit, and the people who didn't, they ended up getting getting the short end of the
Yeah,
stick, unfortunately.
that was me.
Oh man,
But I
yeah,
was just like me, like it's just come to a point. It's like I just put the trade in, and I just leave it alone. And I just try to let it, do its thing and go about
yeah,
my day.
exactly, yeah, and I've been doing the same thing too, like lately, because most of the time the trades do hit, and a lot of the times when they do hit, I end up closing like way too early, and it's like, damn, I like gave up like half of the. I could have had double profit, but I took half instead. So like now that I trust the win rate, especially for the scalps, I just let them run at this point, because it's like we're gonna have wins and losses, but for the most part, they're gonna balance out to like wins eventually overall.
Got you. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
But
Um,
looking at that area that you were at, the one that we were just looking at, yeah, I think the main problem with that was that happened during London crossover.
yeah,
Yeah, because usually even if I'm trading during Asia session, by the time it hits 10 my time, which would be like midnight your time, I usually stop trading at that point. I'll like pull out of my trades when I'm in profit, because I started to notice, like, because I trade US 30 every day. So I see how it moves and I trade it all day. So like I started to notice that once we get closer to London Open, which is like 2 hours before, price starts to reverse as well. And that's kind of what happened right there when
got you.
looking at it. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like it's not something that I focus on, but when I do take a trade, I make sure to look at the clock and I'm like, all right, is it getting close to like, market turnover or anything like that? Because
Let
I
me
tend
see, because I don't think I may have taken this trade. What day was this? Wait a second. I don't think I took this trade.
yeah, I usually don't trade on Sundays. I don't know if you do. I trade sometimes if I,
Nah,
yeah, Sundays are just too risky, especially when stuff hasn't really started moving yet.
22nd. Okay, yeah. What in this? Where am I at now? Sorry. That was what? Oh, super far back. Oh, this is Nas. I was like, where are we at?
Yeah, you probably hit like a little hotkey or something.
Yeah, I got a touchscreen laptop, and I'm trying to use it to use the capabilities of this
Yeah.
laptop.
How do you like it? I was thinking about getting one of those before I got my
It's
Mac.
pretty nice. It's like having a little tablet almost. Like
Awesome.
it's convenient. It's lightweight, nothing too heavy.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. I heard like mixed reviews. Like some people say that it's kind of hard to use, or sometimes like they touch the screen on accident and it just screws everything up.
Yeah, exactly. Just like how I had.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But so I guess like right here, if we rewind, bar replay mode cannot be connected. Why not? All right, so some stuff happening.
Oh, it didn't let you rewind back.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, that's weird. Sometimes it does that, like if your internet connection's kind of off. It's happened to me a couple times, like when I'm on the live session where it just won't load up,
Technology. It's supposed to make life easier.
right? Makes it more complicated.
Exactly, every time. All right, but so like right here, this would have been like a little setup I would have done. Let me make sure my zones are. That's what I've been trying to make sure I've also been incorporating is just making sure that I'm keeping my zones updated. And so yeah, those are good. But normally when you try to do you always keep this on? Or is there any way like I can turn it off to where like all of them aren't popping up and just like this one is there?
Oh, for the momentum signals,
Yeah.
I usually don't keep them on. I just like, depending
Mhm.
on which strategy I'm applying, because like now for US 30, we have so many different strategies. I don't know if you've been following, but like
Yeah,
everyone,
no, for sure.
everyone's kind of been creating their own little twist to it. Like I created the original one, the 10-minute, and then now we have this one that Josh uses. It's on the
Yeah.
3-minute. So for me personally, I don't use the momentum indicator because you know that for my specific original strategy, I just look off the rejections. But if you're
Hmm.
applying something like Josh's strategy on the 3-minute, he does use it. So if I'm generally I have like four different charts. Like I have a chart where it's like the daily entry. I have another chart, like I have a separate tab that's just the 10-minute scalp, and then I have a separate tab that's just for the 3-minute. So on one screen I'll have it with the momentum, and I'll have another screen where it doesn't have it on there at all. So it just depends on like what I'm trying to apply. But personally, I don't necessarily keep it on. The only time I keep it on is if I'm trying to figure out the direction of momentum.
I got you. I was gonna say that's probably honestly what I need to do because I was actually looking at this audio book.
Yeah.
YouTube, it was talking, and he had mentioned like I think it's like the triple monitor like system, basically just having like three different screens, up at the same time. But
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
no, definitely, yeah. You know, you can do it from your chart. So just you can close those actually, and yeah, just close those, and then I think this is better because it won't refresh your chart. Because if you have different windows open, it'll set it differently. So just go to that drop down menu where it says unnamed. It's
uh
right on top where it has that cloud. Yeah, so drop down right there. Let's see, and then click on a new chart layout, and then that's how you'll have separate charts. Because if you open separate tabs, it's gonna or I think you could even duplicate the one that you already have. Try to go back to that option again. I don't know if they have the option there. Let's see.
I was gonna say usually I've done this before and it's worked out.
Yeah, I used to do that too, but that would throw me off sometimes.
Yeah, I feel
Sometimes,
you on that.
yeah, because you know when you click that, like when you try to maximize one window, it kind of like sometimes I'll click on the wrong one and I'll maximize it, and I'm like, dang, what am I looking at? So I like to just have separate tabs, unless you
Yeah,
have like a huge. If you have like a huge screen, yeah, it would make sense for you to do that. But like my screen, it is big, but it's not, it's not big enough to have like four different charts open at once.
yeah. I would be normally sitting out there, but like I said, bro, I'm resting my body right now. Uh, but yeah, I have a giant, like a 27-inch monitor out there that I use for like my gaming, and then on here as well, like as far as looking at like having two monitors up at the same time.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. If your screen's big enough, yeah, then by all means go ahead and do it. It's just for me personally, I feel like it kind of confuses me. But if you can do it, I mean, it'd be good for you to just use that as well. It makes things a whole lot easier.
Got you.
So you don't have to have like, clicking on different tabs and stuff. But like for me, man, I have like some ADD, bro. Like I need to be focused on one screen. So I
Yeah,
like
no,
having separate tabs because if I have two charts open, I'll be looking at one and I'll be thinking about the other one while not looking at it. And then it throws me off.
just get hyper focused. That's how I get. I get so in the zone. I'm just like, yeah. And then that's whenever I run into that analysis paralysis where I just keep looking at the same thing over and over and over and
Yeah,
just
exactly.
overthinking. Uh, yeah. So basically, Like right there, I would have possibly sold. Honestly would have waited on the next candle based off of, recently, now having the zones and whatnot. So like right there, I wouldn't have entered the trade because it could potentially come back up here.
Yeah, like for something like that, I'd do the same thing. I'd look for like that break and retest to confirm, and then
Yeah,
I would
wait for it to retest this area.
exactly, and I'd catch it as it comes back down. Well, I mean, yeah, like I mentioned before, it just depends on how you want to apply it, because like there's a ton of ways to apply the strategies, and there's a lot of things that you can mix and match to hop into those trades. For example, there I probably would have taken that, but I would probably use the momentum indicator too. Like if you want to try the
Okay.
momentum
Yeah,
indicator,
yeah.
like if I saw a sell right there, or we already got the sell, but yeah, that'd basically be a break and retest right there. But our bias would be for a sell, since the most recent signal was a sell signal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I was to see that right there, I probably would have caught that trade when it broke the structure. But another problem right
Right
there,
there.
yeah, another problem right there too is that I think that's or actually I don't know, because you're 2 hours ahead, so that might be like about, I'm assuming like 8 p.m. Is that 8 p.m. military time for you? 2200?
Jesus.
Honestly, I don't know.
10.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it was around 10, that might have been a little risky. But if that was like around 8, I'm thinking it's 8 because I think that's 10 my time.
Got you.
So that's around,
Yeah, that
I
sounds about
probably,
right.
yeah, I probably would have taken that trade right there for a sell. And then,
Yeah, I would have tried to probably either write it down to this zone, or either, well, this zone right here, either this pivot. I probably would have just like taken profits and then like got into another trade and let it ride down and then put like a type stop loss.
exactly. Yeah, I would do the same thing. I would either trail the stop, I would just exit like right before it got to the zone, and then I would just re-enter if it breaks below it. Yeah, so it looks like it does play out quite a bit. There you go. And sometimes that's kind of like that's the trade psychology right there, right? Because you see it pulling up right there. Some people would just pull out of that trade. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
reverse. But then all of a sudden, like, boom, full TP when you least
that
expect.
used to be me. Like for I'd probably say like the first 4 years, and then these, like I said before the pandemic, like I was like getting back into it. Then pandemic happened, I slowed down, and then I got back into it again during the pandemic. So that definitely gave me enough time to focus on my psychology, and I think that's what really kind of helped me. Because yeah, I used to be that person, like I would see this come back up and like, okay, it's reversing, because like it looked like right here, I would have thought like, oh, it broke market structure right here with
Mm-hmm.
this candle, but like I would have seen the wick on like this pivot or something and like trusted the system enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that's what it really is like I think the main key is just, finding a system that you trust and works so that you can actually trust it. Cause I feel like a lot of people they see something that looks good and then they haven't really tested it. So they don't know if it really works. And that's why they get scared because they see it and they're like, oh, this looks like a good trade. And then they see it reversing on them. They're like, oh wait, maybe this isn't a good trade. But going back to that candle that we were just looking at, so where it broke the structure right there, you can see that there's actually a lot of entries if you factor in like other strategies as well. So like
Yeah,
for
like the
example,
3 minute.
yeah, so like right there, that candle where it broke, where that first candle that broke below, that
This
would
one
the one above it, I think that was the entry, right? The one to the left, like right where it broke the structure, like farther to the left, it's like
right
at
here.
2200.
Maybe I'm not
To
looking at the
the
same
left,
thing.
yeah, to the left of yours, yeah, like okay, there we go, like
I know
that
what you mean.
that one right there, yeah. So remember how we looked at that earlier, and you said, "Oh, I might have taken this because it broke structure." So that would have been like one confirmation that that strategy would have, well, it would have fit that criteria. And then if you look at that green candle, right, or the candle where it's rejecting off the structure, where it has that wick, where it comes for the retest. So if you
I
look
see
at
it.
that, yeah. So if you look at that right there, like say for example, you see that first entry and you're like, all right, this is a sell, but then you want to wait for
Night strategy too.
yeah. So that'd be the strategy for the scalping strategy, the 10-minute snipe. So if I didn't take that candle like right when it broke, I would wait for that second confirmation for the other strategy. And then when I see that one, that's when I'd be sold. I'd be like, all right, this is for sure going to drop. So that's where I probably would have taken it, where
Sure.
that candle wicked off it.
Now, based off of the way I have my strategies drawn up, let me
Mhm.
see. All right, so like right here, I wouldn't have taken this just because like this is a really strong candle, but like I would have waited to see what this next one did.
Yeah.
Obviously, trace I wouldn't have entered on that one. Uh, All right, and then like maybe right here, I would wait to see if it breaks this zone first before entering. I don't know if that would really. Yeah, I probably would have got in right there if I zoomed in close enough. And then I probably would have took it for like the full 150. But I do see a big zone right there too, so it could be risky. But like I said, I set the trade up and I just leave it alone and I just let it run.
Yeah, what would have been riskier on that area was that was when the U.S. session started open. So you're like 2 hours ahead. So I personally don't take trades like right when it gets to,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah, see what I mean? Like when it goes from a London session, it goes down, and then once we enter U.S. session, it goes opposite, right? Because like when you go into like when price starts to go in a market swap, or like when it swaps between sessions, it usually goes one direction for one session, and then it goes opposite, the next session. So that's kind of where you can see right there where it goes from like that whole area right there to the, you could probably even mark it up. I think yours would be at 2 o'clock. That's you. And then you can see around, I think it's, what is it, like 9 or 8, I think your time. Actually, that's 8 because you guys are 2 hours
Yeah,
ahead.
it's 8:30.
Yeah. So 8:30 right there. You can see where it starts to go opposite, right? Because you can see from London session, it goes down. And then halfway through, it starts to curve upwards. And then it goes straight up during US. So like I think one of the main things that you should probably focus on is like paying attention to time. Because I think time that's like a big factor that a lot of people don't incorporate. Like people don't think about what happens when market swaps. Because like, it depends on who's controlling the market at that time. Obviously, if the US 30 is going down and then the US is like, oh no, we can't let this happen. Like they're not gonna let it keep dropping. That's when they spike it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say, like I said, I normally do keep my eyes peeled on the daily FX. So usually I am aware. Sometimes I won't take trades even with the strategy, and then I don't know. It's like sometimes like depending, like I'll take the trade based off of like whatever like the majority is. Like if it follows suit with this, like if a lot of people were selling right here, I probably wouldn't have sold right here, honestly, because like you can see like it did kind of reverse.
Exactly, yeah. And that's like one thing that I always keep in mind too. I think the market sentiment, I actually like it when it's like really heavy on one side because it makes it kind of easy for you because you're like you just do the opposite of what everyone's doing. So I think when it's like past like 75%, it's like for sure. Like if it's 75% sell, I'm for sure gonna buy, or if it's 75% buy, I'm for sure gonna sell. And it's funny
Yeah,
because like people like it's crazy. I think like what was it like 2 weeks ago when it just kept going up and people were just stacking on those sells. I was like, damn, it was like 80% market
yeah,
sentiment.
bro.
I
That
just
shit
kept
was
going
crazy.
up. Yeah. I was like, what are they thinking, bro? Like they just kept entering sells and sells and sells and it kept breaking the new highs. And I don't know, it's the whole trade psychology thing. That's you can't think like everyone else. That's really how you really excel at trading and stuff.
For
Because
sure.
majority of people do the same thing.
That's what yeah, because I did read that in well, let's listen to that in like this audio book. Um, yeah, basically trading against the majority is like the best way to kind of for sure at least have a little bit more confluence with your trading.
Exactly, yeah, and especially with scalps. Like I don't think it works as well with like longer trades, like intraday and swing trades, because price can go back and forth like over time, and then it'll end up going where it's supposed to go. But for scalps, like since you like to trade on the 10 minute, I think it does wonders because like price can retrace a whole lot if everyone's doing a sell, and during that time period, you can make a lot of money doing that, little pullbacks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's not like a big like you said intraday time frame versus like, and it's not like anything with too much noise like on the 1 minute or 3 minute.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why I like the 10 minute the most. That's like definitely my favorite time frame to scalp on.
So would you ever consider using the 5 minute for entries or
Yeah,
have?
so I actually started using the 3 minute. So there's this new strategy that I was showing people today. It's one that one of our members CT uses. He marks up the zones on the 15 minute, and then he does the snipes on the 3 minute. So it's like a middle ground basically because
Yeah, bro. Everybody's been creating strategies out of your
no,
yours.
bro, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And the crazy thing about it is that they work. So it's like, damn,
Yeah.
it's like, what do I use? Like today on the live session, I had like 4 different charts of like 4 different strategies, and everyone's like, all right, so which one do we follow? I was like, I don't know, they all work, so it's kind of hard to tell people what to focus on.
But yeah. Well, shoot. Let me kind of, I guess, go through this a little bit more, just so I can have, I guess, a little bit more confirmation and more idea on like why I guess I am, my awareness in the markets.
Yeah, no,
Since like,
definitely. Yeah, try to find a trade that loses, and then I think that's probably where you could learn the most. Like, just
okay,
find a trade that you would have taken and that loses, and then we can find a solution because there's always a solution. You know, like when you find a bad trade, there's always something that caused it. Like especially like those trades we saw earlier, a lot of them happen during times that we generally don't trade. So, like Sunday open or sometimes during the market swap, stuff like that. There's like little things that could come into play that could make all the difference when determining whether it's a good trade or not.
got you. Yeah, that's the thing about trading. I've been trying to, I like I said, I get stuck like looking at one thing for too long, and then I don't pay attention to something else. And that's what I guess I'm really trying to, like I said, being more aware of like certain things, because I want to see what like you're seeing that I may not see or be aware
Mhm.
of.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
'Cause like I said, I've been doing pretty good as far as like compounding my account. I mean, of course I have losses, but like I said, it's just like any other day. Just take it, live to trade another day.
Exactly, yeah. And that's good that you have that. A lot of people still don't have like risk management down and like using proper lot sizes and stuff like that. But like since you kind of have that down, you understand that it's like a back and forth game. I feel like the biggest problem with a lot of people is like revenge trading.
Yeah,
Like
for
people,
sure. I used to be terrible at that, bro. I've blown so many accounts doing that. It's not even funny.
yeah, I've seen some people where they've done like FTMO. They got to like where they needed like $50 more, so they decided to go like crazy lot size just to like scalp it for a second, and that one trade goes opposite and they blow it. And I'm like, damn, dude, if you just like did what you were doing this whole time, you could have survived that. But sometimes people got to learn the hard way. I feel like some people have to blow enough accounts to like wake up and be like, okay, this doesn't work. I gotta do something different.
All right. So this, like, according to my strategy alone, like this would have been a winning trade. But as far as I guess understanding where we were, and let's see, this was 132. This, so yeah, entered around, so it's like 150, like my time. Um, so I mean that was obviously a winning trade. I do need to show you a losing trade.
Yeah, no, that looks like a good trade though, because it looks like, how we were mentioning earlier, that looks like that same candle that you entered off broke market structure right there. Because you drew market structure exactly where it should have been, uh,
Mm-hmm.
right there. Because I know the zones are probably off because we're ahead of time now, so the zones have changed since then.
Yeah, I
But
probably
just yeah,
did
but
it.
just looking at it, yeah. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So you can see right there, it breaks that green zone, right?
Okay, yeah, I see what you
So,
mean.
so yeah, so you're pretty on point because that would have been exactly where you would have taken it anyways. So that strategy lined up with my K2SR strategy as well.
Let me write these notes down. So I think I'm slowly seeing. All right, so really, I do need to make sure I consistently update my zones.
Yeah, that's gonna be key, especially on 10 minute. If you're on the higher time frames, not as much, but if you're on the 10 minute, like you definitely have to at least check it like once an hour, or like whenever you see a trade like an entry, I would
Hmm.
definitely just pop up the zones real quick, make sure they're all accurate, they're all like up to date, and then
Got you.
from there, you don't really have to check it like every second, but like before you take a trade, because you have like some time in between, you got like
Hmm.
in between each candle. Before that closes, yeah, I would definitely recommend that you at least just pop it up real quick and then see if it lines up where price currently is. Because if you did have that lined up there, that would have lined up perfectly with your strategy and with my strategy as well. Yeah, it looks like it lines up perfectly because that was exactly where the lower swing of that market structure would have been. Because if you look at it closely, you can see that market structure is from that lower zone up until where it's
This
three
one.
two. Yeah, so that zone right there, that'd be the lower end of that'd be the lower zone. So I would consider that the floor, and then the
I'll
roof
say
is
that's a big
like,
zone, actually.
yeah, it's a pretty big zone. So you can tell that like that's a bunch of liquidity there because you can see
Hmm.
last time that's where price broke through it, and then as soon as it came right back down, like it was that huge candle that broke right through it. So that's kind of how you would identify liquidity as well.
Got you. All right, cool. Well, let me see if I can find another losing trade. Cause let's see, it's 23rd. Let me actually go ahead and update these zones while I'm at it. Actually, I'm gonna do what I've been doing. So I will wait for my strategy to pop up with the pivots, and then I'll draw everything up. Because this is how I was back testing it most of the time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So boom, that will pop up.
Yeah, that looks pretty solid because even if you turn on the K2SR, that'd be exactly where I would have drawn it to. Yeah, you can see that green zone right there, that'd be the floor. And then that upper area where you drew that yellow line, that red zone up there would be the ceiling. So that would be perfect for what I'd be looking for right there.
Now, should I still consider marking up these zones up here too, right?
Nah, I wouldn't. That was only like in the beginning so that you can see, where market structure was prior. But like since you like we've already gone over like where important market structure is, you already know exactly where you should be focused on.
Yeah, and this looks like now we're getting close to London session here soon. So it's probably gonna move sideways. London open right here.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm usually up around this time anyways, waiting on
Late,
the
bro.
session. Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I try to do London session, but man, it's like if I do London session, I won't be able to do US, and I like US way more. So I had
Yeah,
to,
keep trading simple.
exactly, yeah. Let's see, so yeah, if that candle closes above it, looks like you could possibly take a buy right there.
So I would have not entered on there. Definitely entered right there.
Yeah,
So
solid.
me, I would still run this to 150, 1-to-1, or would you still just recommend just taking it to like this next zone?
Yeah, well, I would, I wouldn't. Sometimes I don't even put a target, bro. Sometimes I leave the target open and then I just slide my stop loss and profit. So once price gets close to that zone up there, that's when I would move my stop
Yep.
loss and profit, yeah, to like right below it, so I can guarantee profits or I can try to shoot for like a bigger move. And
Gotcha.
and that's like something that if you're comfortable with doing, that would be something that you could do. So like for example, right there, as it got above, I probably would have moved my stop loss in profit. Um, but I mean, like we just discussed, it depends on you, on your risk tolerance. Like for me, since I'm doing a big account with FTMO, I don't really care about going for those huge profits anymore. Because like if you're trading a big account with FTMO, like if you're going for like depending on your lot size, if you're using like a pretty conservative lot size and you're going for like 500 pips, like pretty like 2,250 right there. So I'm not really like, I'd rather lock that in and then just go on to the next one rather than risk, losing it and making nothing rather than going for like small profits here and there. So usually for the 10-minute, my sweet spot is going to be around like 500 pips for like normal scalps. But if I'm going for the daily entry, like the full move for that whole session, then I would probably go for the 150, like you're doing right now.
So like right now, this is already at like
Yeah,
6 years.
so I probably would have pulled out at 500, but yeah, so in some
Okay.
situations I would just keep it on. I mean, it's case by case. If the trade looks nasty, then I probably would move my stop loss and profit. If it looks really good, like sometimes you'll have it where it just skyrockets and you're like, damn, I should just like let it run. But yeah, that comes with like experience and like knowing what you're doing. Like if you
So
want to, oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
you're good. I was gonna say, so if you would went ahead and taken like, so like let's just say this comes all the way back down here and you haven't taken profits already, it like stops you out. Let's just say if you had it at, so you never put yours at break even, you always put it in profits, right? Just like even.
Yeah, I put it at least slightly in profit. I don't always put in to break. Actually, I never put in break even anymore. I used to before, but then I feel like the market knows, bro. Like they know when you put it break even. So like they'll bring like right there that candle prior to it. You can see how it came up and it came down and break even. It probably would have stopped someone out and then it shot all the way up from there.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Like I
yeah,
would have waited at least until like it hit this zone before I moved it up.
exactly. Yeah, no, same here. Yeah, I generally put it in profit, just enough where I'm like, see, like that would happen right there, where it comes back down. And if your stop loss is too close, that's where you might get screwed. So like,
For sure. Honestly, yeah. I mean, well, this one would have been I guess, a winning trade.
yeah, and that looks pretty
Uh,
solid because it lined up perfectly with, my K2SR strategy. It also lined up with your strategy. Well, your strategy is kind of similar to the K2SR strategy. It's just your zones are a little different compared to, where the K2 zones are. But for the most part, they line
I,
up pretty much the same.
I was gonna say, I think just yeah, using your zones like I said, helped me out a lot. Not really as much the pivots per se, like I said, because I've been trying to trade more like straight price action and keep everything simple.
Hmm.
But where was I getting to? All right, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like right here, this would have been another setup I would have made right here. I probably would have bought again, like I said, and still use the 150.
Oh, above that area right there.
Yeah, but I mean, this one could have been risky just because the way it wicked off.
Yeah, I
But
think, well, yeah, it's risky for that reason, and then also because I think you just entered like U.S. session as well, so that's where it might have been. Yes, 8:30. So that's literally off the U.S. Open. So here's like one trick that
yeah,
I do too. Like when the U.S. Open happens, the following candle will either continue pushing up, or it'll come back down and fill the gap to where it was originally before the market opened. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for too when you're so if you play it forward, you can probably see what happens with the candle. It's going to do like one of two things. It's either going to come back down and fill that gap, or it's going to continue pushing up.
yeah, and I think this is when it kept pushing up.
Pushing up, yeah.
Because I think I end up, I think I hit TP on this. No? Or this, yeah, I got out early on this one. I think I got out like around here somewhere.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's key too, that like as long as you're like cognizant of like the zones and stuff, if you see the zones testing like a couple times, odds are it's probably gonna dump from there. Like you kind of see right there where it established that high. It
Right
came
here.
down, yeah, it came down right there, we tested it, and at that point I probably would have pulled out if I was still in that buy.
Like
Because
right
I would
here.
I
I
would
mean,
yeah.
I would already had this at least hopefully at break even or
Oh yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
profits.
Exactly. But you see right there where it where that candle, like it's a strong bearish candle, like it tested a second time. So it's comes down, it tested right there. And probably that fourth candle right there where it rejects off the top, that's probably where I would have pulled out from. So like two candles to the left right
Okay,
there.
this one
Yeah. So I see that if I see that rejection right there, I'm like, damn, it's been like testing it like four times. And then you see that big red candle right there. That's probably the one
closes.
yeah, I probably would have pulled out right there or moved my stop loss and profit at least and then lost.
So I know you don't really do like you don't really trade like candlestick patterns or anything or patterns in general. But as far as like candle closure goes, like you do trade like based off of like I guess so like this one it closed below like this one like this was obviously like you said a big bullish or bearish candle right here
Mhm.
like you would have closed out right here. So like let me see if I can get a good example of what I'm trying to say. All right, let's just say let me see, let's see. Mm, well, I can see. Never mind. I have no idea what I'm trying to look for. There's a certain like candlestick, but I feel like it's gonna take me forever to try to look for it.
Well, do you know what it's called?
No, I don't. It's not like a
Oh, it's
actual
not an
like
actual name.
pattern name or anything, but just like because I've seen some people on YouTube how like they basically like they'll use candlestick closure for confirmation. Like obviously, like I would have waited for this to close, above this zone.
Structure. Yeah.
Um, So I was saying, like, as far as like that goes, like right here, would you have like still like bought right there, I guess,
Uh,
considering spike through the zone and
yeah.
but
So
it closed above this candle.
yeah, like for US 30, it's a little different compared to like Forex because Forex is a ranging asset. So if I was to see that same pattern on Forex, then I
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have taken it because it ranges, it'll go back and forth. The thing with
Hmm.
US 30 is if there's momentum there, it's going to keep pushing regardless. And I think that happened like right after market open for US, which, like I mentioned before, the following candle, if it continues to push up, odds are it's going to keep pushing up. So if I saw that entry right there, I probably would have taken it.
Like right here though, I guess this would be another good example of what I'm trying to say. Like you have like this candle, which was still a push up, but this one was still a push down, and it closed below this zone right here. Would you like have closed the trade or just say like, oh no, it's invalid?
So depending on what I was looking at that time, so in general, I probably wouldn't even be in that trade because I don't enter like right when it opens. I
Oh
usually
yeah.
wait like at least an hour after, so or like 30 minutes after. So I probably would have skipped those first three candles. And then as it came up, if I really wanted to enter it, I would enter it and just scalp it up even higher. Cause like
Gotcha.
because once I see those three candles after it and I see it's above where current price is, like that big candle that opened up, so as you can see how price is above it, that would have indicated to me that price is probably going to push up at least like 200 to 500 pips. So that's where I would have scalped up a little further. So I
Oh,
probably
you
would
talking about
have
this candle?
yeah, because you can see how that candle right there closes above the opening candle, which is that big one right there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to see that little pattern right there where price keeps pushing up, that would have hinted to me that price is probably going to push up a little further because generally the candles following the opening candle, if it keeps pushing up, it's probably going to keep pushing up. If it wanted to come down, it would have came down by now, like within those 30 minutes, because it would have came down to fill the gap.
Like right here.
Exactly, because sometimes when you see a breakout, it'll break out and then all of a sudden it comes right back down, right?
Mhm.
So for here, you see how it breaks up and then it just continues pushing up. So at that point, I'm like, all right, it's probably gonna keep pushing up. And I would probably take a small scalp up for like another 500 pips. There's another person in the group that trades like that. I think you've seen her. Her name's Making It with K2.
What? Say it
Uh,
again.
Making It with K2. Her name is Cheryl. She's usually posting like huge profits.
Yeah, I've heard about her a little bit. Like you shouted her out a few times in the YouTube videos.
Yeah. So that's how she trades. She waits for the breakout when the market opens, and then she either follows it or she catches it as it retraces back down. So that's a strategy that she uses.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's another thing that you can keep in mind too. Like there's so many strategies that people in K2 use. And a lot of people just they mix and match everyone's strategies together and then or they use it as a confirmation. Like they have a strategy that they're using and then they'll see if another K2 strategy lines up with their strategy. And then if it lines up, they're like, all right, this is for sure gonna hit. And then that's when they take it.
Okay. Now I know this might be a weird question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this. So like I said, as far as like drawing these zones, like would you like cover these red lines or would you just like does it really matter?
Not necessarily. I would go like right, like as close to the line as I can. But I mean, it's not really all
You
that
wouldn't cover it or anything? Or like
or what I would do is I'd probably go over it a little bit because like you mentioned before, like you try to wait for the candle to break outside of it.
hmm
Sometimes the candle will break like really close to it, where it's like it's hard to tell whether it actually closed outside of it or within it. So I try to get it as close as possible because
hmm
sometimes I've entered trades where I think where like it looks like from a distance that it closed like past it, but in
hmm
reality it didn't. And I'm like, damn, if I drew that line a little closer, I would have skipped that trade. But then now, like now that I've run into that situation enough times, if the candle's too close, I just skip the trade now. Like I don't try to force any trades anymore.
Got you.
I'm more about accuracy because I don't like losing trades, but like I don't know, there's something about it. Like I don't know,
I'm
like a
same exact
position.
way,
Yeah,
bro. That's why it's like I'm at this point now, like I've been trading for so long. It's like, okay, I just want something that's going to be consistent and just like more accurate because like it is a numbers game at the end of the day too. So,
exactly. Yeah, as long as you can, the main key is just eliminating your losses, right? And that's why, like when you're going through your strategy, I wanted to see where the losses happen because as long
hmm
as you can, like what I would do is I would
like
back
this would have been a loss
down
actually.
there. Yeah. So like for that situation right there, if that was a loss, then one thing that I'd probably look at is like, what can we do different that could have fixed this? Maybe your TP stop loss should be tighter, depending on what the situation is. So like what I do for all my strategies is I'll back test it and I'll just document every trade. I'll highlight everything that loses, and then
hmm
I'll see something that's similar to all of them. There's usually something that matches up. It's usually around the same time that it loses. It's usually around news events. It's usually where your stop loss TP is too tight or too wide. There's a lot of different factors that you can factor in. That's why, like for the scalps, I figured out the sweet spot for the daily entry is 1,500 pips, because I back tested that strategy, but I did like 10 years back. I just went so far back. And then every time I looked at it, like I had different TP stop losses set up. Like I started at 1,000, I went up to 1,250, and then I went up to 1,500, up until like 2,500. And then it
Hmm.
got to a point where I just like closed the gap, right? I started to see where trades were hitting and where trades were losing. And then 1,500 ended up being the sweet spot. So that became the sweet spot for the intraday moves. And then
Hmm.
scalps, I did the same thing. I pretty much just tested that strategy like years back. And then I went from like 350 up until like 750. And then I figured out, the sweet spot being the middle, 500. And that's where I came up with that number. So
Gotcha.
that might
Yeah,
be one thing that you might want to go back and look at.
for
Or
sure. Yeah, I do have like a little journal. Like I've been back testing and just like mainly just writing down whether they won or if they lost, and then basically like for how many pips it won and lost. That's pretty much what I did, and I would total up like the total amount of pips. Like it would be, at the end of that month, and I would just average it out like month by month. And I don't even think I've gotten through like the rest of last year. I'm still kind of going through it slowly. Uh, but yeah, I think that's what I'll probably end up doing too, is like being a little bit more detailed, like you said, just like figuring out, I guess, like the furthest, I guess, range, like it's normally pushing, I guess, yeah, being aware of the time. Um, yeah,
exactly. And
let me
and I
see if,
think yeah, I think 1,500 might be a little wide, because I followed like other bigger traders who trade US 30, and
mhm.
I listen to what they say too. Like I'm always open ears. Like even though they're like other traders from different companies, I listen to what they say, and a lot of them say that 1,000 is generally like the sweet spot. Like if price ends up pushing past 1,000 pips, it's gonna keep pushing that direction. So like
Gotcha.
that's usually where for a lot of people, I think that's their sweet spot. So I don't know if that's something that you might want to focus on, because I do think 1,500 is a little much, especially if you're trading it during certain sessions. Because like US session, that's like the fastest for US 30. So it makes sense for you to shoot for 1,500. But if you're trading it during like Asia session, like right, you're probably not going to see 1,500 for like the next day because it barely moves during Asia session.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might do that too. That's probably something I'm gonna actually back test tonight, just like and actually write down all the little nitty gritty details on as far as like how far like is it actually moving, according to the strategy combined with yours, of course.
Mhm.
Um, Now as far as the pivots go, um, and then so like this obviously like reversed right here. I did kind of want to go over the snipe strategy a little bit more because I did have certain questions, like because there's points where like let me see if I can show you. Uh, like I guess this one right here. So would you have taken a buy right here?
For that one, I would have taken a
Let me take this.
let's see, that's possible. Actually,
Now let me try
I
to get
would.
another one.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have taken that one because it looks like there's an entry from the top and the bottom. So if you turn off the momentum indicator, you can kind of see from that specific candle right there.
Hmm.
See how the wicks is rejecting off the top and the bottom?
Top and oh, okay, I see what you mean off of
Yeah.
these.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see unless you really zoom in. But if I was, if we're thinking this like on top of our head, like we just see it real quick, I probably would have skipped it for that specific reason. Because generally, if I see a rejection from both sides, it
Hmm.
just becomes risky because you're like you're just unsure like what direction it could go in. Because literally, if you took the buy, then you would have
Hmm.
lost. But if you took that sell, you would have won, right? And they're entries from both directions. So I personally would probably hold off on that one myself. But everyone's kind of different. Like some people just like to take bigger risks. So if they see something, they take it. And it just depends. But me personally, like I'm like really careful about my trades. So I definitely analyze it from both sides, and I try to measure my risk when taking when taking trades like that especially. And I think what day was it? The 23rd, I think. So
Uh,
yeah, or 24th.
24th.
Let me check
And then
accounts. I know
12:40, so 10:40 your time.
Oh, 1040. Yeah, I wouldn't take that trade then, because I stopped trading around like 10,
Got you.
because that's when the market starts to reverse a little bit. So you can see like slightly before it shoots up and then it comes right back down, like midway through the market through US
Gotcha.
session. That's usually what happens during the US session. That's why I trade like from 6:30 up until like 10. And then around 10, I just take a break and then I come back during Asia session. Because usually that's what happens during like during that time, that's like lunchtime for like the stock traders on the East Coast. So like what happens is they'll make their big moves right there in the beginning where you see that big bullish move. And then they go on lunch. And then after that point, all the retail traders come in, they start screwing with the market. So that's kind of like why
That's
it gets all choppy, right? Because before that, it's all like smooth up. And then after that, it gets kind of choppy.
got you.
Yeah. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that I can like bring up to you. And it's just stuff that I kind of picked up over time. You know, it's like me
Oh
trading the
yeah,
same
no, for
thing.
sure.
It's like me trading the same thing every day. It's kind of like I'm learning how the market actually moves. And I've been doing, I think it's been like a full year now because I just started trading US 30 like last February, I think. So I've only been trading it for a year, but I've been trading it every day. So that's why I'm able to like see a lot of things that a lot of other people can't see.
Got you. Honestly, yeah, I think I started trading US 30 in like October or September. No, it was September because I was in Mexico. And then that's I think around the time I ran into your channel and then I started I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause you just popped into the YouTube, huh? Is that how you found me?
Yeah, that's how I found you. I was like, because I was just like trying to see like, if anybody had like different like live videos going on just to see what their ideas were looking like. But
Mhm.
I mean, it was like mainly like news related stuff. It wasn't anything like given like certain, breakdowns and analysis like you do. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I always wonder how people find K2. Like I find like we have like so many new like random people that just popped up out of nowhere. And I'm assuming it's mostly from YouTube because that's generally where I like, posted my analysis and stuff.
that's crazy because so whenever I started trading back in 2015, so actually I helped launch IML. I was like one of the first people in there. So like I knew like a lot of the top traders. Like I'm actually close to business partners with a few of them still. But as far as I go, like after like I left IML and like they kind of went down like a little path, that's whenever I decided to solo trade, and then I was just blowing accounts left and right, and then so it's crazy. I don't know if you know Q Banks, but crazy enough, like I'm friends with him and both Chris Williams, but I guess it was because like I come from a network marketing background, so like that's where I
Yeah.
also started in business. So yeah, whenever I just seen them, like, well, I seen Q mainly trading US 30. That's whenever I kind of got into it, and then I ran into your channel. I was like, oh yeah, it's crazy. It's like there's so much money, like money to be made.
Yeah, exactly. Just trading US 30, right? Because I used to be really big on Forex. I was actually against US 30 because when I
Too.
started people, when I saw people trade US 30, like way back, like a year ago or 2 years ago, it seemed like people were just gambling, bro. Like they were literally just taking random trades and they didn't have no analysis. They're just like, oh, buy here when the market opens or whatever. And they try to catch those breakouts until I started actually like studying it myself and then figuring out how to actually move. So yeah, I think we all started around the same time. But I used to be super against indices, bro. I hated indices because every
Yeah,
time I traded them, I would
Gary.
lose, and I'm like, man, this doesn't work, bro. Until I figured out a system for it, and then now here we are. This is our main thing to trade now.
I'll say you came up with it pretty quick too, so that's what's up. So for this right here, how would you draw this zone? Would you just do it from here to
I would
here,
actually connect all of them because it looks like that one right there. So that one that you were
and
just
this
looking
right
at,
here?
yeah. So that one that you were looking at above there, it crosses into that big one below. So they both cross over.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I would just connect one big one right there.
Got you. Yeah, see, I guess that's another thing too. I was trying to also figure out because this would obviously like be a huge support zone.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be like a really big zone. Um, and that's like it's a good thing and a bad thing. I don't like it because I don't like when I'm scalping, I like having tight zones. But if you're looking at it from a bigger perspective, you can see that that's a huge support area right there, right? So
Oh
like
yeah, for sure.
if price was to break below that, then that would be an indicator that price is probably going to
Gonna
dump.
dump, yeah, all the way down here, roughly.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I
So
don't. I think this is where it reversed that because, like I said, yeah.
oh yeah,
Uh,
bounce from there.
so yeah, I forgot. Well, I'm on the 1 hour now. I don't know if that would have really still been an issue or factor in.
I think it still lines up for the most part. I've seen a lot of other people. They started drawing zones on like different time frames too, and they just mix and match them because like a lot of times they overlap. but sometimes they, it's that little push that they need to give them a better perspective of how the market's moving.
Yeah, I've been like basically just cycling between the 10, 15, 1 hour, and then sometimes I'll get on like the small like the 5 minute just like for entries, but usually I look for these bigger candles well yeah, candlestick closures out of the zones normally just because I feel like those give better confluent or confluence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um
definitely.
but let me see because I'm gonna draw one more thing and I won't hold you up too late. Because I definitely want to get some rest in before London session because I'm ready to get back to the trading.
Oh man, I don't know how you do it, bro. You just stay up from London up until US session?
No, so usually my day goes wake up at 7 o'clock, just kind of do like my own little morning routine. Then around like 8 o'clock, well, yeah, 8 o'clock, I'll start like looking at all the news and stuff before market open. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll get like my charts marked up. Uh, and then I'll just see if like there's any setups or if there's anything that already happened. Just kind of look at what's been happening. But yeah. And then I'll have your videos playing, while I'm like charting up and I'll just be looking at y'all's ideas, just trying to see what y'all are seeing, why you're taking these certain trades. And yeah, most of the times you've been calling like some good ones, and it lines up, the same way how I've been drawing it up. It's just, we obviously have two different systems. But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, if they both line up, usually it's going to be a hit. That's what's been happening with a lot of other people too. Like they've been doing the same thing. They just listen in. If I'm calling the trade and they see that it lines up with theirs, they're like, these dudes go like full lot size on that, and they hit.
basically
Yeah,
that's pretty much how it goes because it's like I know you have some skin in the game, and it's like I know I've been in the markets for some time now, and I feel like my psychology is almost up to par, like that close. Is just figuring out those I guess more high probability trades.
definitely. Yeah, no, 100%.
But like right here I probably would have drawn another zone, like because there's the two highs and then there's a low. Probably
Yeah, I probably would have drawn a zone like you see where that wick is kind of sticking out of the middle right there. Like
in the middle,
a
like right,
little bit to the right. See, a little farther to the right.
this
See,
one.
like 3 candles to the right, where it's wicking up above like that zone right there.
Oh, right
Oh,
here.
right there, yeah. So that would probably be where I would identify the ceiling for that market structure right there.
Gotcha. Because of the
Yeah,
wick.
yeah, because it looks like it tried to hit up there, and then I would establish that as and you can see that wick actually lines up with the one on the left. See on the left right there, where it establishes that as a support. A little farther to the left, like probably like 15 candles to the left. A little farther to the left. Or here, let's just do this. Draw a horizontal line right there at that same wick that we were just looking at,
All right.
or any line in whichever one.
Um,
Oh, no, not a vertical one. The one that goes left to right.
Horizontal.
Yeah, horizontal. So do because you can see that sometimes when you see that they line up. So
Hmm.
like yeah, scroll over to the left real quick, and you can see that it was testing it over right there, right where your cursor is. Go back to the right.
This one right
Right
here.
there, yeah. So you can see right there that it actually bounces off. It comes up, then it comes back down, and then it kind of establishes that it switched, from a bullish to a bearish right there. Because if you line that up right there, you can see that price was consolidating in between those two zones above there, and then it broke below, and then now it's now consolidating within the lower zones.
All right. Let me see. Where'd you say to mark it up? Like I want to see like what
Oh
area
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like.
yeah. So that candle right there on the right of it, that little small one, yes, you could probably just mark it up to the left a little bit, like right before that big candle.
All right.
Yeah. So you could do that, and then you can draw. Sorry, the dog's barking. He's good, man. This dude barks it whenever someone walks by, bro. It's like this dude's
Oh
ears
yeah,
are
dogs are
crazy.
so funny.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, let's go over to now the candle right where it breaks below it. So it's like right there, that
This
one
one.
to the right, one more to the right, right there. You can just close that right there. And that'd be a vertical line right there as well. So you can see in between that area right there, price was just consolidating within those two zones, right? The two zones that you drew.
Yeah, these two.
Yeah, so it broke above and it was just consolidating between there. And then as soon as price broke below it to that next zone on the, if you scroll over to the right, now that's going to be the next consolidation area right there.
Question. So I see like there's a small, like these two small zones. Would you even normally just draw these up, or is, because I feel like small zones like those, they always get broken through and they're kind of almost non-existent.
Yeah, well, like I would leave them, like personally, I would just leave them on the chart, but yeah, like you mentioned, they're not important. So like I would just leave them on the chart until price breaks outside of it, and then I would delete them. Because
Got you.
in reality, like that's kind of irrelevant, right? They're too small, so they don't matter. It's just basically that bottom one and the one above it.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let me see if this would have played out the way. Well, I wouldn't. So there's been many times too. I forgot the. This is actually something that happens a lot too, where I'll have like the same like strategy basically pop up, and
Oh,
I'll,
and you make it tighter, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like
So
I would
you
still use this one
oh yeah,
as
yeah,
reference,
you're still looking at it. Yeah.
but I would still just like trade within this zone.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah. Whenever something like that happens, I have a strategy like that I used to use before too. I would just that would be called a squeeze. So basically, like when it squeezes in like that, it's
Hmm.
like preparing for a breakout. Because usually it'll squeeze until it gets really tight, and then once it gets too tight, it just breaks out in one direction or the other.
It's testing me a lot, testing my patience.
Right. Yeah, and it's respecting those two zones that we drew initially, like the one that above and below. So like right
So with these being like a zone that I already drew, and then this one right here being another one, would you consider still keeping these there?
yeah, I would actually focus on the bigger ones because you can see right there how you kind of drew them smaller to for the squeeze, right? And then you can see that price kind of broke below, but it didn't necessarily continue. It just pulled
Hmm.
back into the zone. So in that area, in that situation right there, I would have started to just ignore the middle zones at that point because at that point it already established that those zones aren't that strong because it just keeps breaking below it and then shoots right back above it, and then I would just go back to square one and I would just wait for it to I would keep looking at it from a bigger picture.
Got you.
Yeah, but then it would also depend because like if you're looking for scalps, then yeah, it would make sense to focus on the smaller squeeze. But
Hmm.
if you're looking for an actual big move because you like to go for like 150 pips, you would probably be looking for it to break above or below the actual original zones that you do from above and below. So like right there at that point, I probably would have, or actually I probably would have waited for it to close below that zone.
That with this zone.
Yeah, because that's the same zone that we looked at earlier, right? Where it was kind of like really strong. Yeah, so at that point, that'd be the confirmation right there, and I probably would have hopped into that.
Well, I'll do 1,000 just to see how it goes if I do readjust, because I think that does seem a little bit more reasonable.
Hmm. There you go. See that's why it's key that you focus on the bigger zones and not because that's like a trap. Like how you kind of go for the squeeze sometimes. I've seen a lot of people use that, and that just becomes a trap because a lot of people think that it's going to squeeze in, and then they think as soon as it breaks below it, it's going to continue in that direction. But then
Hmm.
like you were asking me earlier, oh, do you delete the bigger zones? And that's why I would keep them on because situations like this, because they're still going to be important, until they actually break. But I've seen other people where they delete them and then it just ends up not playing out how they thought it would play out.
Yeah. So what would you do about, like, would you already have zones like drawn up for these just in case? Like, would you go ahead and just like rewind, drop levels right here just in case like the markets continue to like push down potentially, like, maybe down here, for example?
Oh yeah, pretty much, yeah. Or you can even go on the higher time frame and draw the zones because it
Oh
like
yeah, true.
since you're only on the 10 minute, it's only going to get like because you have it set to 200 bars, I think, or 100 bars. So you're only going to get like the zones within the 100 bars. But if you go like on the 1 hour, then you're going to get zones like way back there. So then that's how you could grab the zones that end up like, way farther back, or you'd practically even higher because I think that's only 100 bars. So that'd be 100 1 hour bars there, maybe the 4 hour. There you go. And then you would see where
So that
that,
would be the next
where
big
that,
zone.
exactly. So that's usually what happens. Like, for example, if you see price break down and then you're trying to figure out where the next zone is, I just keep like increasing the time frame to find, where that zone is going to be at.
I kind of want to go back and see this big move real quick. Break that down because that's. Mm,
Is that's the zone that you drew on the 4 hour, right?
mhm.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Looks like it probably comes down, test it, and then shoots right back up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did.
It respected it like perfectly. That's crazy, right?
Dang, because that's crazy. Because if I would have known that, I probably would have like
Totally.
tried to just hold it a little bit, at least like a little bit to the zone, maybe like around here somewhere, a little before.
Yeah, definitely. And that's crazy. It literally went straight to it went straight to that 4 hour zone and bounced right off it. And that's
Yeah,
like
and that's huge.
yeah. And I started looking at different strategies too, because like when I started, like when everyone started introducing their strategies, I was like,
Hmm.
man, this is crazy. Like there's other stuff that we can do. Like there's some situations where if you have like a strong zone and it's dumping heavy, it's
Hmm.
gonna have to bounce at some point. So if it's dumping like that, I would set like a buy limit or something, and then just have my stop loss below the zone. And then
Mm, yeah.
it's kind of it's a gamble trade, like you're gambling at that point, but you could still hit it big if it does play out.
I think that's another big thing that I do slack on. I sleep on the buy stops and the and the sell stops like a lot. I don't know why, but like I don't know. I don't know something about just pressing the execution button.
Oh yeah, no, same here. Like for scalps, I never put like order types because it's like those moves happen so fast. If you're off by like a second, you miss the entire move.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, so I like hitting that market execution whenever I get the opportunity.
All right. All right. Let me get one more in with you, and then it should be good because I think this is mostly throughout this past week, anyways. Let me see. Yeah, I don't even think I did trade on the 24th. Traded 25th. And I think I didn't trade this day because yeah, I had a show that day. Now I usually don't trade Fridays too often myself, just
Yeah,
because.
yeah, Fridays are the worst, bro. Like I've seen some people do, they make so much profit like Monday through Thursday, and then Friday they lose everything. And I'm like, damn, if you
Yeah,
would have
bro.
just chilled or just turned off your computer or did something on a Friday, like could have saved all those profits. But yeah, no, it's even happened to me as well. It's happened to me a lot of times in the past where like I'll make a lot of profit, probably like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, blow it all in one trade.
Yeah, I've been there, bro.
Yeah.
So I know these two would be separate zones pretty much, but I know how like this kind of overlaps. And like, how would you do all of these?
Yeah. So
Just
for
so I have
that,
a little bit more clarity.
yeah. So I would draw that green zone on the bottom, and then that red and green one above it. I would merge those as one zone.
Okay, and then you start it from this zone right here
Yeah.
to
I'll
the.
start to the red. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, these zones have helped me out a lot more tremendously because what I used to do was just like draw just straight key levels. Like I would go on like the higher time frames. I would actually change it over to the lines, and
Oh,
I
I
would just.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just see where like the markets touched the most, and I would just draw like key levels, and I would just have the horizontal lines. But I feel like the zones are a lot better. And I don't know, something about the zones. I just feel like they are a little bit more accurate for some reason,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
having one line.
hmm Yeah, I used to have the same exact issue, but that's why I created the indicator. Because even myself, like I could draw zones, but it was like sometimes I feel like I was off by a little bit,
Hmm.
and it's hard to see. It's really hard to see, like if you're looking at the zones like just from your eyes instead
Hmm.
of using like an actual algorithm. Like the way that I created this algorithm is that I set it to where price has to test like a same exact price point. Like say like for example, it's like testing like 32,609. Like in order for a zone to get created right there, it'd have to test it at least two or three times or more.
Like that general area,
No, the same exact price point. Like the same
like
exact like
right here.
32,000. Yeah, like that 32,609, it would have to test that at some point in the past.
Got you. Like right here, it's been tested.
Oh,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
To me,
exactly. Yeah, because
like,
what I was trying to do, like when I first created this indicator, is I was like I knew that banks use algorithms, right? So I'm like, I need to figure out what the banks are trading. So that's why I created this indicator because I was like, if I could find out what the banks are trading, because they're trading specific price points, that would give me an edge in the market. Because then I could, I'd know exactly where to trade and where not to trade. Because you don't want to trade where the bank algorithms are trading. So that's why
mhm,
I generally don't trade when it gets near the zones. I trade when it breaks the zone because then that's going to confirm that the banks aren't going to be selling at this point or they're not going to be buying at this point. So it's going to be pretty much a free run for us to continue that move. And that kind
gotcha.
of and that kind of lines up with your strategy because you're waiting for it to break the structure as well.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing. It's just that the K2SR zones are just a little more accurate because they have the same exact price point.
By far. Now, how would you draw these zones up? You'd just make this one big zone.
Let's see. So that lower one overlaps with the one above it, and then actually, yeah, I'll just do one big zone because that 32,609 is actually a big zone, and then it overlaps with pretty much everything right there. There you go.
How's your day been going though, bro?
It's been all right, man. It's been like chill for the most part because this morning, man, I had like some big wins this morning and then I lost it all like right after, bro. I had like two big wins, two big scalps where I made like nearly like 5,000 and then I took two more scalps after it when I knew I shouldn't have and then I just lost it all. So I was like, well, I didn't lose all of it. I locked in some profit at least like a couple $100, but after that I was like, this market is screwed today. So I was like, I'm just gonna chill. So for the most part, it's been a chill day for me.
Say I definitely wasn't gonna trade while I was on the plane.
Dude, I don't know how people do that. Like I've seen some people who do that, but I get a headache on the plane. I can't even like watch TV or do
Oh
anything.
yeah, I know what you mean. My ears like pop, and it's like I even get scared to go to sleep on the plane for some reason. Like start to fall asleep, and then I'll just be like
Oh yeah, yeah, you get like that little falling feeling, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I get that where I kind of freak out and everyone looks at me. I'm like, and I look around. I'm like, oh, did anyone see me?
it wasn't me.
Exactly.
Let's see. I guess let me draw that big zone again, just for reference, in case. All right. Okay, these are all. I just use it. And then pivots on. So I'm sure you may have probably would have bought maybe in this area. I personally would have still been waiting on a trade setup just because, like I said, you see how like I have these two pivots right here.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you would have bought over here. Uh,
I probably would have if you turn the momentum indicator, if there's a buy signal around that area, yeah, it's exactly right there. So yeah, I would have taken that because like I mentioned before, like there's a lot of different strategies that you can combine. Like for example, if you turn on the pivots and you see how price is above the pivots right there, so this would that same green candle right there would be considered a pivot entry if you're using the K2 pivot strategy. Do you know how that strategy works?
I do. So all
Yeah.
right, hold on. Let me because this thing kind of throws me off
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, go to scroll down and then go to turn off the those last three right there. There you go.
I'm gonna make these a little thinner too. I like the clarity.
Yeah, same here. I don't know how people trade with like, like the really fat lines or the really thin lines where you can't see anything or you see too much.
Yeah, or like too many indicators.
Yeah, exactly. That's why usually I'll draw my zones and I'll turn it off because I see some people who trade with them on all the time and I'm like, how do you even see anything on the screen?
I mean, this is straight. I'll keep it like that.
Yeah, and I'll explain
Um,
that.
let me see. Now, if I wasn't using these indicators, so like right here, I would have saw that pop up. I know indicators lag,
Hmm.
but usually I'm already kind of like updating, like moving these as I go,
Yeah.
anyways, and waiting for the indicator to kind of pop up, which I think is probably not a good idea because like I could be missing out on potential. trade?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. For the pivot high lows. Yeah. No, I used to do the same thing. I would wait for it to show up. I was actually trying to figure out, I was going to create another indicator where it could like pop up earlier. But then I did mess around with it for a bit and it just became like less and less accurate. So I was like, I might as well just wait for the actual one to pop up.
Heard that. Yeah. So, um, let me make sure I don't have any other zones. Uh, so you consider these zones up here like on the 1 hour, even though we would be going based off of the 10, like for
Um,
potential zones, or like which one would, or which time frame would you generally use?
So it would depend on what strategy you're applying. So if you're doing scalps, I would use a 10, but in reality, the 10-minute zones aren't that strong. So if you're trying to apply the break and close past structure strategy that you're doing, I would probably incorporate the higher time frames more so than the 10-minute. So I probably wouldn't even use the 10-minute zones if you're applying that specific strategy. I'd probably would use something like the 15-minute, 30-minute, or even hour in some instances.
Hmm.
And they would probably line up better with like what you're looking for right there as well. Because I think if you go in the higher time frames, you probably would see some other zones around that area as well.
Oh yeah, like on the 15.
Yeah, so you can see the 15. There's actually a zone right there.
Yeah,
So that's probably a zone that I would uh, be more focused on. I only use the 10-minute because I scalp and I only go for like 500 pips, so the zones aren't really that important. It's just looking for a rejection. But if you're looking for a different strategy where you're trying to catch break and retest, then I would probably use a higher time frame when identifying those zones.
got you. Okay. So like for example, like um like should you, okay, would you drop these a zone right here off of the 15 minute if you
Oh,
saw this?
would I draw those right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would draw that one below, and then you can kind of see that that zone below kind of lines up with your little line right there. So I think those
Which
are
one?
separate. I think
Oh,
those
okay,
are
I see
separate
what you mean.
zones. Yeah, I think that that zone above is actually linked to the one above it. See where that so
Yeah,
yeah, let's turn off your momentum indicator real quick so I can clean it up a bit. And then, yeah, so you can see right there that those zones are actually separate. So that one right there is below it. The high is going to be at that yellow line. Yeah, there you go, around the yellow line.
got you.
So that kind of lines up exactly with your strategy right there. You would see it break into that structure, and then that one would be one right there. So if price breaks into a zone like that, I probably would trade within the zone because it's such a big zone. Like if you measure it, I think that's probably like a pretty big move. It's probably like at least 1,000 pips.
So you said you would. So like me personally, I would have taken this right here
Yeah.
as a
Yes.
buy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, depending on where you drew your zones, because we were looking at it differently on the 10-minute, I probably would have taken it. Um, the
Oh,
15
this is on
minute,
the 15. My
yeah.
bad. Yeah,
So the 10-minute, yeah. So on the 10-minute, it looks like it kind of breaks into it, right? Or above it
yeah,
slightly.
it does.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then yeah, I probably would have taken that trade. I don't know if I would go for the full
50.
1,500. I'd probably go for like maybe 500, which would be 50. Um, Yeah, because it looks like that trade actually came up during Asia session, so that's like a slower period.
Yeah, that's another thing I wasn't aware of. What time we were.
Exactly, and it makes a big difference depending on what you're trading. But yeah, I
I
think
mean, but generally, when I'm actively trading, I am actually aware of. It's just when I'm back
back
testing, I'm
testing. Yeah,
really.
exactly. No, I'm same. Like when you're back testing, you're kind of just like, oh, this looks like a good entry, and then you play it and you're like, damn, why didn't it play out? And you're like, oh, the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like that one does it play out. Oh, it
Yeah,
does.
it does.
Yeah, right over there. Nice. And it's crazy because it literally bounced off that same zone that you drew above. Like literally touched the zone, came right back down.
Heard that. Oh yeah. So like on a normal, like if this was like a normal like trade for me if I would have taken it for 150. Let me see. Because like I said, I'm probably gonna scale it down to 1,000.
Yeah, I think 1,000's pretty solid, but it does hit too. And that's when it carries over to the US session. See, it's so like, for example, there, you
Oh
could have,
yeah, I see.
yeah, you could have made that profit during the Asia session, and then you
Hmm.
could have hopped right back in where it breaks structure again right there above it for the US session over there.
I think I actually got in on these because I think I won 3 times in a row. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. Broke right there.
That's where it starts to get weird. Like, I think around, yeah, around like lunchtime right there, that's where it starts to pull back, but then it ends up correcting back up. I think we actually took that trade too. That was on or that was a scalp. Yeah, I think that was just 2 days ago, or no, that was on like last week. I think it was like Thursday's daily entry.
Yeah, I think I was trading. I think I was watching you then that day because I wasn't doing anything that day.
Yeah, because I remember there was one day last week where, man, that trade ran for like 24 hours, but it ended up hitting full TP eventually.
Yeah, I think that was this
That
trade
was,
right here because I ended up taking these on my own based off of, yeah, because I remember winning 3 times in a row.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I prefer to do that too. I prefer to pull out because I see some people like they try to just hold on to it. I'm like, man, that's risky, dude.
Yeah, like I remember holding these. I was like, well, if it loses, I was like, it is what it is because I just won this trade. I was like, you know, and then I had just happened to win these 3.
Nice. Yeah, no, definitely. I think I took like one or two of those and I just scalped in between because I know that week was a good week for us. Last week. It wasn't like a great week, but it was good. Still profitable.
Yeah, last week was a great week. I think I went 9-0 for my trades.
Damn, that's good. Yeah. I know the week before that I went like 10-0 and I was like, damn, I never had a win streak like that for US 30 like that consistent.
Yeah, that's why I've been really wanting to focus mainly on just like one pair US 30. Like that's just really been like the bread and butter for me as far as like like how smooth it is. Like it does move like with, you know, good market structure for the most part. I mean, you do have news that really just affects it the most, and I see like the banks, of course, like are controlling it too. So like a lot of the stuff and tools you've kind of given me kind of helped me out a lot for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'm the same way too, because I used to trade, well, I still trade all the Forex pairs, but man, I used to be on every single Forex pair. And then now I start to realize that it's better to just focus on one thing and mastering it, especially US 30. The thing I like about US 30 is that it's never going to go anywhere and it's always going to move. It's never going to just
Yeah.
be flat, you know? Like even if the market's crashing, we just short it. Like it doesn't really matter to us. Like market could go up, market could go down. Like we'll still find a way to make money off it.
Yeah, that was
Damn, yeah. What time did the entry come up?
uh for this
Oh, it
one,
was market open, yeah. So 8:30, that was when the US
then
was
it completely reversed.
so like yeah, see what I mean by that? So like that 8:30 candle, it shoots up, and then the following candle, if it comes back down, usually continues to drop. And then it just corrects back to where it was originally before that big move happened.
Yeah. So because I remember you telling, and you have mentioned this before in the lives where like based off of, you don't trade off of the opening candle and then you wait to see what this next one's going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much what played out. And I think I did take this anyways, and I was just like, okay, win or lose, basically, because it's like I'm just trying to just throw all emotions out with trading. Like I've come to a point, it's like I'll spend money, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna make it back. Like that's what it's just come down to, and that's why I try to get with trading. And I think I'm kind of at that point. Like I said, it's just like working on those like small little details and figuring out what's gonna work best. What my strategy, of course, like using your zones and your pivots definitely help a lot. So just like combining those and just making, more accurate trades.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely 100%, dude. And that's kind of like what I started to pick up too. Like just by trading it every day, I was able to
Hmm.
spot these patterns. Like I never knew that price did that, like after the opening candle. But then
Hmm.
after seeing it like so many times, I was like, damn, that I could actually probably make money off this if I just wait for those moves to happen.
Hmm. Yeah, and patience was a big thing for me. But
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah,
think I'm good. I don't really have any other questions or
yeah,
anything.
definitely, bro.
But I think
It was good that we covered all this stuff because I feel like I learned some stuff too just talking with you about this stuff. And it's kind of cool that your strategy is really similar to the K2SR strategy. It's just that your zones are a little different. But when you
yeah, for
combine
sure.
those together, it's like unstoppable, bro.
Oh yeah, the zones definitely help out so much, bro. Like you have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, because it gives you that double confirmation. You know, like you draw your zones there, and if it lines up with the K2SR zones, it's like, all right, that's a strong zone at that point.
Yeah, like for the longest time, like whenever I was watching your lives and stuff, I would just be like, all right, I'm gonna see like what zones he has, and I would basically try to copy them, but like I know they wouldn't be as like neat, so I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna just buy I'm gonna buy them, it's like make my life easier. Why not?
Yeah, and if you win enough, you pretty much paid off pretty much like with like a couple of trades or
Oh
so.
yeah, no, for
And
sure.
yeah, and the thing with the zones is they update so often. Where I've seen people that do that too, like what you did, where they just try to like copy my zones like during the weekly chart analysis when I do it on Wednesday or on Sunday, I mean, and they would like come back on like Tuesday and they're like, hey, bro, why does my chart look different from yours? And I'm like, well, the zones change, because the price moves around, and a lot of people
Consistently
don't realize.
updates. And
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Yeah, that's why I made sure I wrote that down. Just like making sure I update the zones consistently, because now that I've noticed that like over time, yeah, especially on the 10 minute, it's a little bit smaller time frame, so the zones are going to be a little bit more up and down.
hmm yeah,
But
exactly. And then if the zones become irrelevant, they just disappear. And then if
mhm.
they become relevant again, they just reappear. So that's what's good about that too.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't trade yesterday at all. Yesterday was Monday. Yeah, I didn't trade yesterday. I haven't traded today. But yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick up all my trading tomorrow because usually, well, it is NFP week, and usually it's kind of slow Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday it starts to pick up a lot more.
yeah. Well,
So
shoot, if anything, bro, I'll definitely be in on a live in the AM bright
yeah,
and early.
definitely, bro. Yeah, I'll be there. I need to make some more profit after today's little
Yeah,
flop. I mean, I'm
I
just
can
glad that I
tell.
got on profit. I think the main thing is that as long as you close out with profit every day, that's the main goal right there.
Exactly. Because you can't go broke taking profits.
Exactly. But I tell people that all the time. And people are like, nah, man, I need these big profits. I'm like, you're gonna
Yeah.
go broke at eventually. You keep doubling up and putting all your eggs in one basket. It's gonna catch up to you.
Let me see. Yeah. Okay. We already. I just want to see what happened because I have honestly not even looked at the markets at all. Actually, I think I had this marked up. I've been like trying to look at the charts while I've been on tour, but I've been like just not looking at it because, yeah, it's stressful sometimes looking at it for too long.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Especially if you got trades running. And I can't imagine you have being like on stage and having an active trade, bro.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
nah, you won't you won't see me do that. Nah, actually, I might do that one time just to see how it goes.
just to get you a little extra hyped up.
And then when the TP hits, I'll get have like my DJ press the little case, the
Buzzer.
little.
Little buzzer. That's funny. And people love that, bro. Like I
Yeah,
started doing
it's
that, and
lit.
then everyone like they're like, yeah, it gets everyone like hyped up because they know that TV hits once they hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I've seen some people like what they do is they'll take a trade, and some people will even delete MT4 off their phone, bro, because they're so used to like
Mm-hmm.
getting too early, and then they just wait for the buzzer. That's all they're waiting for, and then they pop back on. They're like, oh yeah, we won.
Sure. But all right, bro. Yeah, I won't hold you up. I'm sure you're ready to get back to it eventually. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
let
trying
you
to check out
enjoy
the
the rest
chart.
of your night. I appreciate you for your time, though, bro,
Yeah,
and your
definitely. I'm glad that we
insights.
had this meeting. This kind of helped me out too. So definitely, if you have any other questions, I'm available. So
Oh
just
yeah,
let
most
me know.
definitely. And I know you said you're Filipino too, right?
Yeah, dude, Filipino.
Yep, yep. I'm saying I'm half Filipino, half black. So
Are you? No way.
yeah, I'm Blasian, the Blasian man.
I never would have guessed.
But yeah. All right, bro. I'll see you later, bro.
All right, dude.
Well, I'll
Good
see you in the morning. Actually, I'll say what's up. I'll be there.
session. Oh, for sure, bro. So I'll catch you tomorrow morning.
Most definitely. Stay